Good evening, everyone. You're listening to another episode of the Deathmatch Russell podcast. My guest tonight is Benjamin Jason Woods, the President and CEO of Elev8ProWrestli. And me and this guy go way back from the days of wrestling, way back in the day. A little small promotion in Jersey. It was called Phoenix Championship Wrestling. And the guy's name was the Prophet. And how you doing tonight, Benjamin?
Oh, I'm doing great, David. It's an absolute pleasure to be on your podcast, man. And you ain't kidding, bro. And actually, you know, I wouldn't say it was that small of a company, man.
No.
Think about it. What we were doing at the time was kind of revolutionary, and
yes,
Don B will tell you straight. That we were pretty much the catalyst of what Ring of Honor became.
You're right, because you know what, I agree there, because it was and I always told on my podcast, it was like the indie promotion. It was like the promotion that launched a lot of superstars, and it really did.
Yeah, you look at a lot of the names and the guys that were part of that core roster, man, and all the shows we were doing. Like I would say a good 75% of those people went on to be pretty much mainstream household names. And
you know what? And we're proud of them, because like we know a lot of them, and they made it pretty good, which is really like insane,
It's crazy to think that like a small little town, Toms River, New Jersey, was like the hotbed for professional wrestling in the early 2000s.
It was. It really was. And now it's still New Jersey. Well, now you notice like it's all over now. It's spread, It's spread a lot bigger nowadays,
Well, when you get out there, man, especially like when I went to Louisville, it's crazy how you see like just how different places have their different way of accepting it and welcoming it in, and it's like you find a lot of similarities, but then you find a lot of differences as well, as in terms of like how the crowds react to things.
Right.
New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia were always a more like fast pace, a little bit more like risque type stuff. Where down south is more of a like, let me tell you a good story and suck you in and put you to bed.
Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Because people don't know, like from like little like other promotions, like Midwest and whatnot. Out that way, everywhere. Wrestling is wrestling, and people love it.
Wrestling's I think it's at the height where it's pretty much ever been, man. And it's crazy to see like the full circle back. Going back to, talking about those early days and stuff, and where a lot of us are now and what we're doing, man. But somehow, some way, we're still all involved.
What made may I jump right into it? What made you get involved with this company?
I went through a lot of different phases during my career, man. After Phoenix Championship Wrestling, I was invited to OVW, and it was under developmental, and it was one of the most overwhelming experiences of my life, to be honest.
Yeah.
You're in there with the caliber of trainers and then the caliber of talent around you.
Yeah.
And, being a semi-big fish in a small pond to a guppy in the ocean is like a much different experience.
Right.
And so it's, it was very different.
Yeah.
And after that, man, I had a pretty good run wrestling throughout the South and the Midwest and stuff, and got a couple good opportunities. And unfortunately, I tore my knee in half.
Oh, man.
Towards 2009, I blew my patella tendon out.
Yeah.
Doing a show at OVW, and, shit happens, man.
Yeah, you know what? You just move on.
They say it's fake, bro, but my doctor bills and a couple other things could tell you a different story, man.
Yeah, I know. I know. I hear stories a lot about my friends that are deathmatch wrestlers, and it's and they're still healing like a guy G Raver. I'm sure you heard that name, and he's still healing. He's not.
It's so different, dude, when you're, like, away from it compared to what you felt when you did it. Like, when you're wrestling 4 or 5 nights a week, and there was a good point in my career where, like, living in the Midwest, you had that opportunity, and, like, you don't feel shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you could take, like, a blackout on the concrete floor.
Yes.
And although it knocked the wind out of you, you're all popped up and ready to go to the next spot, man. I tore my Achilles tendon during a match. It still went another 4.5 minutes. It's just a matter of, like, where your adrenaline's at. The second that shit wears off and you've got time off, man, you feel things in your body that you never knew existed.
Right.
Like, It's absolutely crazy. Like, you know, it literally, it's like you see, like, the Tommy Wildfire Riches and the Tracy Smothers and stuff limping around and stuff, man, and still going out there and trying to do it. And it's like, Jesus, man. Like, I'm going to
the Rockers, like the Rockers, you know, they're still doing it, you know? Like, come on, man. Those guys, I give them credit, you know?
Because, some guys are doing it because they have to, man. But others,
it's a paycheck, you know, and they still want to do it. You know, it's good.
It's the love you have for this business, man.
It really is.
It's pretty remarkable, dude. You know.
Yeah.
It's I've always had passion for it since I was like 8 years old. I saw it on TV. My uncle snuck me watching Saturday Night's Main Event, and dude, it's like for me, I always tell people like. I grew up in a very dysfunctional environment, man, and, like, wrestling was my outlet, dude.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can ever explain to somebody where, like, the magic takes you at times, but it takes you to a place where it blocks all of, like, the shit that's going on around you.
Absolutely.
And when you actually get into the business and you're doing something that you, like, dreamed of doing as a kid and you're now involved in it, man, it really shows you, like, you know, how much of a savior it was for you in your life that, like, here I am living my dream instead of maybe being dead, institutionalized, or in prison somewhere, you know?
It's like me. It's like me,
crazy, dude.
You know, it's like me as a wrestling fan, you know, going around to all these shows and, you know, look at me, 2 years in, now almost going to be almost 3 years now podcasting. Like, you know, like, it's awesome, you know? It's like, it's a great way to, you know, socialize with all the people that we know, and it's great. You know, friends that we've known for years is great, you know? The stories are great, you know? I get a lot of cool stories, you know?
There's so much of it. I mean, it's such a different business, man. Like, you look at it sometimes and you're like, you know, this 40-year-old dude is out there, like, wrestling around with this other dude, like, what the F is going on? And it's like, you really just have to be that passionate about it to understand the magic of it. To what it means, like, what it feels like to step through that curtain, or what it feels like to be a fan enjoying it. And when they give you that oh shit moment, or where they threw you that swerve that the internet didn't root for you, like it's you know, you enjoy that stuff. You enjoy the small things, man, and it's awesome that at times to still be able to watch as a fan, even though I'm still been in the business for 22 years. Right. But it's like, you know, when you get me, and that's what I love about it. You know.
Yeah. So how's the company going? Pretty good. Is it really?
So Elev8Pro, man, I started with them about 3 years ago. Initially, when my wrestling career is over, I got into a lot of acting and got into like
I saw that. I was reading that on your
different stuff and had some pretty good opportunities, man. It just I kind of started flowing more towards the production side of things, and I realized, like, man, I really like this. You know, I really like behind the scenes, like producing and choreographing, and you know, I had an opportunity at first, you know, to work with another company here in Louisiana, which I won't mention their name, but you know, it was you know, I was thankful for the opportunity. I didn't always see eye to eye with the person in charge. We know how it is. We know how it is. It got my feet wet for something that I had always loved, and it showed me, hey, you know, maybe chapter 1 is over. Yes. But there's an opportunity for chapter 2 and 3 here. And so, like, that kind of was the catalyst for me. Like, all right, I'm going to do interviews. I'm going to do some commentary. And then so I moved on to this other company, and, like, I saw an opportunity right away where, like, I was given kind of a little bit of respect for where I've been and some of the things that I've done. And not that I'm a household name, but the one thing I'll always defend myself to people is I always worked my ass off. I was always safe, and I never hurt nobody.
Absolutely.
And I've learned from the greatest minds in professional wrestling. So when you hear stuff coming out of my mouth, it's not necessarily coming from Benjamin Wood. No. It's coming from a Donnie B or a Rip Rogers or a Jim Cornette or a Dr. Tom Pritchard or a Terry Taylor. Or Al Snow or Nick Dinsmore. It's coming from those guys who repeatedly instilled knowledge in your brain. And if you're a complete idiot, then you don't soak up any of it. No. But if you have half of a mind for paying attention and listening to what a veteran can pass on to you, then you suck that shit in and you manifest it. And it may not work right then and there in your career, but at some point that light bulb goes off and then it all makes sense and you're like, holy shit, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's really what Elev8ProWrestli has become for me. It's that forum to give back and to utilize that knowledge and to utilize my own personal experiences, my own personal mistakes to help others not go down that path. And, wrestling's really different right now, David. It's completely different.
Absolutely. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing. I mean, I was just listening.
And so when you try to teach guys with this old-school mentality and stuff, you have to be smart enough as a trainer today and someone involved in booking and other things to realize the evolution of the business as well. So your card has to be diverse. Right. Certain things work in front of certain audiences, and you have to know your audience.
Absolutely.
And so I try to give everybody what I always tell them is a little bit of old school, a little bit of new school, and something in between for everyone.
Yeah.
Because that's what wrestling is.
It is, because you have to have your surprises. You have to have your surprises, your this and moments, and it's like...
Right. And, at the end of the day, it's still telling a story. The story is you want people to go home happy. You want them to go home with a feeling, a reaction to the show that says, when you put tickets on sale for the next one, I'm going to buy them.
Yeah.
And that, you want to send people home with a wanting and a willingness to take part in the product that you're producing in front of them. And I take a lot of pride in that, man. And again, going back to the beginning, man, Donnie B was one of the greatest.
Shout out to him, man. Shout out to Donnie.
In professional wrestling, with the stories he could tell and the gimmicks he could put together.
Yes.
He could sell you a piece of sliced bread, man, and make you pay $1,000.
Absolutely.
And that's like...
It's like, look, it was like that promo they just did. You just see that one? With Caruso?
Oh, man, I've been watching them all,
I've clapped my ass off.
Like, if I didn't have my own show going on that
You know what?
I would be disappointed not to be coming back for that.
But which is cool is Ryan is, that guy Ryan is actually a comedian. He goes to Uncle Vinny's all the time in Point Pleasant, which is awesome, So he's a stand-up there, which is, I could see him doing that, because that's his kind of...
And Donnie's always found a way to get the most out of everybody.
Yeah.
Man. Donnie is one of the best, masterminds and dudes in the business who can find something in you and get stuff out of you that maybe nobody else sees.
No,
and
the fans, and he always drove us.
About him, man.
He always loved us, He always loved his fan crew and everybody else.
I always had the opportunity to be like side by side with him almost every day. We would go out and flyer and promote and things, and it really it's so crazy to see the inner workings, because at the time you had Dapper, NWA, Jersey, and all that. And, Fast Frank up there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of brutal down there for the small spots we had.
I know it was.
Posters would disappear. Bomb threats would go into the arenas. All kinds of crazy shit would happen.
Absolutely.
So it's like, nobody really wanted to see the other company do so well.
No. The ticket seller kids would go and rat out other guys and this and that.
And it's like that most places down here. Louisiana, we have a commission, so things are moderated. But there's some cutthroat crazy shit. And we've had companies come in and try to steal our buildings and misuse charities and
fire codes. Fire codes. They always do they always get you with a fire code.
I look at it I'm trying to do the opposite of something. Like if there's always this negativity in wrestling and people working around, why can't we do something to work together? And Elev8Pro is kind of like that motto of just being a diverse cultural promotion that's trying to change standards. Like we have a show coming up on the 21st.
We'll get into that. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, we'll like to do that towards the end.
We're doing that with another company, so that's that's really cool and that's revolutionary right now.
We'll promote that later, big time. I like to talk about that more. But you know what? Doing just it's a change in wrestling, like you said. Now is a good time for wrestling to be a fan. Like always. Like what do you thought? Like you see, is this mind blowing? You see Cody Rhodes on a new promotion. You're like, wow, this is different. It's catching your eye. What do you think of that?
I think it's good to see something on a new level that gives you an opportunity to look at something different. You know, sometimes when you have one thing that's shoved down your throat the whole time, it gets stale and it gets
It does. It really does.
It's like football or baseball or something. It all goes through its cycles.
Yeah.
It gets stale for a while, and then a Mark McGuire comes along, or a Barry Bonds or something, or Kobe Bryant, or LeBron James, and then you're excited again.
Yeah.
And it's like I I think social media really has been the biggest revolution of pro wrestling because it's opened things up on a much different level to connect audiences and people to different things. It's made independent stars that, I mean, if you think about back in the day, man, like when I first started, Howard Finkel was one of the guys that was searching like AOL in MySpace.
I was going to say MySpace was the shit.
that's how you got like noticed by like the big feds or stuff like that. You know, I remember coming out of high school, man, like trying to find a pro wrestling school. Nobody knew what the hell that was.
Yeah.
You know, like my guidance counselor looked at me like I was insane. They're like, you probably need to join the Army if you're not going to college. And I'm like, no, I want to be a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we can't help you with that. Like, I'm like, yeah, no shit. You know, like,
right.
I started probably 10 years later than I actually wanted to start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing, man. But the revolution of wrestling, you know, we're saying, it's changing for everywhere. You know, it's changing, and
it's a lot of different styles, man, and a lot more things are, you know, culturally accepted.
And you're looking on TV, you're looking on the internet, and you're seeing these independent stars that are really like catching your eye. I'm sure you're like, holy shit, you've never heard of this guy, you know. And that's
the cool thing. Like we had the opportunity to bring in like a lot of different like scouts guys, and like guys like Penico and you know like different places and working with different promotions. So you get to see guys like bring them into a territory that's really not gotten to see some guys like Effie and stuff like that. You know, Effie's absolutely amazing, and Trick Cassidy and guys like that. And then, you know, people are like, holy shit, like, who's this guy, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what you want to do. You want to be able to give them a little bit of that diversity because the market is so fresh. Like, you could almost say it's oversaturated with talent. Because there's so many good workers out there, and I think with like NWA Power and other things like that, you're seeing some of these.
I like that promotion a little bit. I kind of caught the eye of that. I'm watching and started getting into that. I like that. It's like the old school NWA days, you know. I like it.
It's got a good story, man.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's mixing a lot of that old story with the new story, and that's what makes it entertaining for like someone my age, but also someone who's kind of, you know, because this new generation of wrestling's a little bit like, a little bit more programmed than wrestling fans were back in the day. Like, you know, you're kind of told what to like and what's cool and what to follow now, and that's how kind of people go off of that. But like, you know, there's good things with like AEW and some of the other companies, and then there's other things that are like, oh man, this is just like spot after spot after spot, and so you're missing some of like the story, but the energy is so good and the charisma and everything, and it's like, man, you want to see this manifest itself into something as equal to what you're watching, you know, because the WWE gets boring. There's really good, like probably 6 out of 10 times like it's background filler while you're on your phone or doing something else. But I mean, there's times where you look up and you don't remove your eyes from the screen. No, I mean that's what wrestling is. Not every match is going to be a home run, and it shouldn't be.
No. And it's like Ring of Honor, man. They're still around and they're doing good, you know. Like I'm seeing, like they're going to do like something with Japan's coming over again. I'm like, holy shit! Like that's awesome, you know.
I think it's an opportunity for everybody to do something because it's like there's so much talent. There's so many wrestling fans now, and then there's so much media and ways to get your product out there. That you know, I think everybody can enjoy everything.
I mean, look at that. Look, I mean, look right now, right in Ring of Honor, PCO world, you know, the champion. You know who has his eye on that gold? Steve Mack. I mean, Dan Moff. You know, like
I know, and I owe him one of the greatest moments in Phoenix Championship Wrestling history. Where him and his partner, man, wrestled them for the tag titles out there. And
I know.
It was one of the greatest experiences of all time because those dudes were like the monsters, you know. Like, they were legit. Like, you actually feared those guys. Like, they were guys that it wasn't just a work. It was like, I'm legitimately, like, worried about them taking my head off. It was kind of like the same thing when, at the Hospice Memorial Cup, when I was in there with Umaga. You know, like, Umaga's no joke, bro.
No.
Like, the dude was a big, powerful man. Like, I was legit like, holy shit, he's going to kill me.
You're dead.
Like,
You're dead.
Know?
But no, it's amazing that we're proud of him, man. He deserves it. He's been, we know how he's been in the business a long time. And
if you look at some of you know, the impacts and the ROHs and the NWAs and stuff, a lot of the guys, and even in WWE, are guys that started around the time I started, back in those early 2000s, late 90s.
Yes.
And they're finally starting to get that opportunity now, after 15
or their head coaches, or their head coaches, like Jerry Lynn. I talked to him on a basis on Twitter.
Jerry was always the phenomenal.
Dude, I know, dude.
If you can't learn something from just standing next to Jerry,
or just listening to him, and he's getting better with that. I guess he just tore his knee. So. But yeah, it's amazing.
I mean, that's one of the blessed things. At the time that I came up in the business, man, there were a lot of those veteran guys around. Even going to, going to OVW, being around like television stars that you've watched for years, and then seeing guys coming off the street like Bobby Lashley and Nick Nemeth and them, and they just instantly have it.
Yeah,
like you just you know they're going to be a star.
I was going to say like in OVW, I know they who would you see come in the door a lot? I'm sure a lot of, like you said, Lashley, and a lot of That
was one of the biggest times. Yeah. I think 2003 to 5 was really the biggest years for that, because I mean you had just seen, like when I first got there, like Randy Orton was rehabbing, so he was down there. Yeah. Brad Shaw and Farouk were down there. Mark Henry was down there. Yeah. Nathan Jones has just got there. Matt Morgan was there. Shad Gaspar Beast, Mike Mondo, Dillian Hall.
Yeah.
We were all there. Like, everybody was just kind of starting out around the same time together.
That's crazy.
Batista was just going up. He was down there doing a little rehab. So you had a lot of guys. The Bastard brothers were just becoming a big thing. Like, it was a really crazy time, man, because you had, like, there were 40 of us in class, and you had, I think, about 23 guys that were actually under contract, and about 17 of us that weren't. Yeah, yeah. But they let you practice with the contract guys. Oh, cool. So you were getting the exact same training they were. So it was pretty crazy, man. Like we were practicing like 3 days a week, and then you had your Wednesday night TV shows. Yes. And then we did like 2 house shows every weekend. So you were pretty busy, man. You know, it was a lot of physicality, man. And most people don't realize, like, I can only imagine what the performance center is like now. Yeah. Because I remember what OVW was like, man, and you were throwing up like at the end of practice most times. They got like, I think they have like 5 or 6 rings in that. You see it on TV. You see it on those videos. It just looks incredible.
It
man.
really.
Like I would love. To
it makes the monster
just one day as the guest trainer, man.
Could you imagine if the Monster Factory launched bigger? I mean, shout out to them too. Don't forget me, Danny Cage.
It's actually the first place I ever took a bump in the ring. Was the Monster Factory. I driven all the way out there for a tryout to see if they would accept me to the school, which they did offer, but I was living in like way up New York at the time, so it was like a 6.5 hour drive. Yeah, yeah. It was like, there's no way I'm making that several times a week. No. But it was a lot of those places, man. Like when Mike Sharps was around big in Jersey for so many years. Donnie and Mike and them brought me over there a few times. It's funny, man, 911 had this ring in the middle of his barn, and Nova would take me over there sometimes to train with a couple other guys, and it was literally like one of those like boxing, match that was like 2 feet off the ground. Right. And it was like 4 posts in the middle of the barn with ropes and turnbuckles. Yeah,
one of my coworkers, one of my coworkers would actually work out with Malice at the gym. Crazy, huh? The Wall, isn't that insane?
Gary was one of the most awesome guys, man. I'm glad you brought him up. Yeah, I got to work him a few times, man, and I had one of the best matches at that time in my career that I had ever had working him. And like, we would work out together because we went to the same gym. And I mean, the advice he would give me, and because I was a little shit fuck back then, dude. Like, I was Donnie's friend, and I knew a lot of guys didn't necessarily like me. Yeah, because I had this I wouldn't say confidence, but definitely this young green arrogance. You had to be. I wanted to be one of the boys, dude.
You had to be the roster. You had to be the roster imposter. You had to be the roster imposter. The roster.
You're surrounded by like top dudes. I know. It's hard not to want to fit in with that. And it's Jerry was one of the real good guys. Damn, man, like when he passed, like it hit my heart,
dude. I know.
Really hard because like he did a lot for me mentally, man. And really tried to help me.
Yeah, but it's amazing, man. Like a lot of my friends now, which is really cool. I have a coworker. You know he's related to Bam Bam's son. How cool is that? Like Bigelow's son, like is dating one of my coworkers' daughter. Married.
It's a small world in New Jersey, man.
It really is. It really is.
Bam Bam was cool too. And that's the thing. Like Phoenix was always bringing in. We had Eddie Guerrero, if you remember. Eddie Guerrero.
I know. Man.
We had like AJ Styles in his youth. We had like all those guys coming through. Gangrel.
Yes.
I actually used Gangrel on one of my shows, David. He's still going, man.
Oh, dude, cool. Cool. I know. He's really out there. He's still making a name for himself, man. He's still kicking it.
He just did something for Ring of Honor, actually. So.
Yeah. Yeah, he's in there with that Danhausen character. There's so many weird characters out.
What's the scene up there like for you now, man? Because I know there's a lot of new promotions.
Yes.
Probably triple the amount of promotions now than there was.
Combat Zone Wrestling, CZW was always CZW. I got hooked into them for a while. I'm friends with TJ. It's cool. Like, I go to a lot of... Game Changer Wrestling is one of the promotions that's really made a name. I'm sure you heard that.
Yes.
That's the biggest one that's really... And H2O... H2O up in Williamstown, New Jersey, is a real launching point for wrestling. It's a warehouse, and they have wrestling every week. With Matt Tremont, which is really cool. Because he runs a lot of promotions out of there too. It's really cool. But there's a lot of wrestling.
Yeah, they don't have a commission in New Jersey, do they?
No.
Yeah, it makes it's got its good points and its bad points, but it saves you down here from anybody being able to run, but it's also a pain in the ass because it costs you a fortune. So it's like it makes it a little bit harder.
Like that post I put out. Yep, weekend in AC wrestling with Game Changer. It's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be a cool weekend. It's gonna be a fun weekend in Atlantic City at the Showboat. They bring a lot of wrestling back there to the Showboat. You know what I mean?
Do they, man? Because that was historic for AWA back in the day, man.
Was it? Yeah, I think at Jersey All Pro.
The Showboat was a big place for the AWA tapings back in the day. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I bet you there's stuff on YouTube. I'll have to look it up. Huh. But
Jersey has always been a great place for pro wrestling, man.
It is. New York too. Don't forget.
I was really shocked when I moved there. Like, wow. Like, this is like the wrestling capital of the world at the time.
And then when they bring
you had all the ECW guys around too, man, that were just coming out of the fold, and they were almost all transplanted around the areas. Carino had his little place in Allentown, and you had stuff all around, dude.
Now Son Colby's wrestling. It's great. Like he's a.
You had Kevin Knight up north running shows.
Yeah. Philadelphia, you still got, wrestling. I haven't been doing.
Caruso was running shows up there with his little promotion. You had a lot of action, man.
You did. Ricky O, when he was still doing
Ricky O.
JCW, before it was Game Changer Wrestling, But no, it's amazing, man. Wrestling's changed, and it's everywhere now. Like we say, you can go WrestleMania weekend. Like Game Changer Wrestling has a whole show for them. You know that. It's insane. The collective, they call it, Joey Janela's Spring Break. Like, there you go. Like, you know what I mean? It's, just keeps growing.
Yeah, it's an exciting time, man. They had WrestleMania down here a few years ago, and went to Access and stuff like that, man. It really is a good time. As a fan and as someone in the business, no matter where you are, it still brings you back to memories and those times,
Yeah,
It was the first time I had gotten to see NXT live up front and close and stuff. I got to do commentary with, one of the commentators, so it was really cool, man. It was a lot of fun.
NXT is...
It's cool to have those experiences now, man. It shows you how far the business has really come.
It really is.
I think at best back in the day, you got a meet and greet with somebody and waited in the line for like 4 hours to get their autograph. So it's like...
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you a story about Hulk Hogan, man. He did a signing in Forked River, right? What year?
Oh, I couldn't...
Okay, $200 he was charging. I walked away.
Jesus.
I walked away. My dad was looking at me like, she's for real. That's probably when his wife was, they were getting out of, the breakup. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not going to pay that kind of money. Come on, goodbye. Sorry, Hogan, you're a fan of mine.
That's a little much, man. That's a couple things were hit and miss. I remember we did a show. Donnie had got us booked on it, and they ran at the Medieval Times up there, and they brought in Scott Steiner at the time, dude, and I think he cost like $5,000 at the time. They didn't draw like 120 people in the Medieval Times, dude. It was like one of the saddest shows. It's
probably
crazy, but that kind of money with some guys when they ask for it. It's like even today a little bit. Some people, especially being a promoter now, you get some messages and you're like, you're out of your effing mind. I've never even heard of you.
Yeah, and who are you?
People are really humble and really realistic, and you're like, you know what? I'll give you $50 more than that just to make the effort. Because
you're gonna fly me in? You're gonna pay my ticket? Yeah, come on.
Well, I mean, you know what? Everybody should have a value, dude. I'm not going to ever criticize anyone on having a value for what your work is worth. But you know what?
Yeah.
If a company's doing you right, giving you a good platform to wrestle, and I believe we do that. We always have a good crowd, and the fans are engaged. And it's good for pictures. It's good for video and stuff because everything's quality. I think you got to look at that over maybe saying, well, I've wrestled 30 times in front of these 50 people over here, that's something.
Yeah.
Sometimes I question where workers, mindsets are.
Yes.
And then you question why you haven't made it or something like that. And I think that has a lot to play into it. It is really what you're accepting for yourself. Having a value is not always monetary. It's having a value in what the product or the company values you at. What are you doing for the company? What's the company giving you back in return? I've even recently had people they ask me questions like, hey, this promotion wants to bring in a big name, but they can't afford it, and they'll let you work them if you pay the other half.
Yeah.
And it's who the fuck do that?
Yeah, no.
You want me to pay to work a guy who's got a name?
Be like, I've been paid millions of times in the past. Look who I wrestle, goddamn it.
Isn't that called every mark promoter who started their own promotion to put themselves over?
Yes, yeah.
It's okay, I'm going to bring this guy in so I can beat him.
Right. It's crazy now. That's crazy out there. We know that. I've learned too.
Yeah, but there, like I said, there's a lot of different talents, dude, and a lot of people deserve it, and it's good to see a lot of people getting the opportunities. And I'm at that point in my career where look, nobody's knocking on my door anymore. And if anything, like I said, my dream at this point would to get some guys signed. And then maybe ever get to do a guest performance one time or something just to be acknowledged for it, That's
right.
And if not, I'm at peace with what I've done in my career.
Man, you know what? I gotta get. Well, after this, maybe I'm gonna have to fly and see one of your guys' shows. I know I'm welcome anytime, everywhere I go to see friends wrestle, hang out, and watch a product. I like to help you guys, everybody out. So I'm gonna have to make my way that way.
I appreciate it, man.
I'd be like,
it's a lot of fun down here, dude. It's a good, like I said, we do good fun shows, man. I try to utilize a lot of the different things I've learned, and we have some good talents that can play gimmicks well.
Let's talk about the talent. How's the talent over there? What do you got? Ooh, maybe we'll have to get them on my podcast. Ooh, I didn't even think of that.
We have a training school and stuff. So for the last couple of years, we've been pumping out a good amount of our own stock, which is always what you want to do. With, a local company is build guys up and stuff. And one of my guys, Dale Springs, he does this golfer gimmick, man, and straight out of basically National Lampoons. So it's real funny and stuff, and I it's a good gimmick, and he does really well. He's been getting himself out there, and that's the thing. I try to teach these guys to market themselves, to utilize social media, to get themselves involved and stuff, so they get their names out. Ray Fury is another guy. He's our champion. Fury is absolutely a phenomenal talent, someone who should definitely be on a major roster within the next year or so.
You know what? Let's after this, let's get some guys on my podcast. How's that? We'll set something up.
Definitely, dude. I would love to.
Let's get some of them to
have their own interesting stories and stuff. And
I know.
We do a lot of mixers like lucha and old school, and women's wrestling and stuff. There's an amazing amount of women talent.
Yes,
right now.
you know what? We always have to put the women in there. We always have to include them. If we don't, then what's wrestling, right?
It's been a good movement, man. A lot of good, hungry talents, dude, and girls are working guys.
They really are.
All kinds of things now. It's really cool to be able to tell all these different stories and the fans accept it, because that's what it's for me, is just being able to put on a good show and having a good core group of guys that care. It doesn't make sense to me to bring in somebody, who doesn't add something to your locker room. You could spend thousands of dollars on a guy who's going to come in just to collect that money, probably not really talk to anybody or give anyone any advice, and then he's gone. And, I've got a lot of good talents like David Ali and Danny Jordan stuff who've gone on and gotten some opportunities, but they're always talking about Elev8Pro. They're always mentioning things. They're checking back in. Zicky Dice, another one, it's really cool to have those kind of people, seeing them get their opportunities, but knowing they've been part of our core shows and been a part of our talent. And it makes me really proud to see them go out there and accomplish, man, because at this point you're living vicariously for other people when you get a little bit older and you can't go out there and physically do it yourself.
No.
So,
it's like me, man. I'm still doing
I love the hunger in these kids, man. That's one thing that I had always felt at Donnie's shows, man, was it was like family.
Yeah.
Phoenix Championship Wrestling was like a huge family. OVW, although there was a lot of political differences and a lot of cliquish personalities, you still were around the same people 5-6 days a week.
Yeah.
And so there's a level of camaraderie, and that's I feel like there's a lot of companies where it's just, I'm going to bring this guy, and that guy in. And then there's companies that really have a core of people that they keep using, that the fans are getting behind, and it makes it something special. That's something I definitely saw in the Midwest, especially Nashville and shit like that, where the fans were super invested in the people they were invested in. And that's really what makes you as a pro wrestler today, man.
Yeah.
If people don't buy your merchandise, if people aren't doing the yes chant, if people aren't, getting behind the different characters, then you're just another guy on the card.
Yeah, it's like me, collar and elbow, right? Save 10% or 30% off, Come on. Hey, people get out there. Isn't that great? It's just crazy. We can make, we make products to support each other. It's great.
What you enjoy.
Yes.
As a podcaster too. You're up on the news and events of things.
Absolutely.
You're out there looking for the new talents and the new things to captivate you. What's the next big story? Who's the next big story?
Who's out there? Who's the guy that's going to be seen on TV? Come on, man. I had the youngest kid probably in wrestling. Remember the Marco Stunt? Come on. I finally had him on, and I had his father on, I had his other brother on. It's great, So I finally closed that chapter of the podcast, But they're always welcome back, no matter what,
And that's the thing, guys like that are, some people look at it some way, and other people look at it as, you know what? He's got a job, bro.
Yeah, he's a little kid.
He's got a job, and whatever your personal opinion is, it really doesn't matter. He's doing him. He's doing good for himself.
Look at that kid. Look at that kid. He's, Marco Stunt, man. Look at him. He's pretty, a little kid, but he can work. He can work everybody. He's Luchas. He's Jericho. He's wrestled almost everybody on the roster. Almost, almost. It's going to be.
There's two things about this business that are extremely important, and if you have one more than the other, then it's a good foot in the door. It's skill and talent is one of them, and likability.
Yeah.
And if you're likable and people take a liking to you, there's a door that's always going to open somewhere.
Yeah,
and that's what I think a lot of new talent today. There's a lot more ego and animosity today than I've seen in the past.
Yeah,
as where we were all fighting for something back in the day. Now it's kind of more, I already think I belong there.
Yeah,
and so when you don't present yourself in that way, those opportunities slip past you. But guys that are humble, like the Marco Stunts and some of these other guys getting contracts and opportunities, you walk in a place, you present yourself right, and somebody says, I like him. Give that kid an opportunity.
Yeah.
That's how this business works, bro.
It does. It does.
It's either you're super talented or you're super over with someone.
Yeah, and if not, then you know what? Forget it, Yeah, you tried, right? You tried.
Yeah. You know, sometimes, how skilled you think you are is not the reality of the situation in this business. And one thing I was always fortunate enough is being in the right positions at the right times around the right people. Mm-hmm. Donnie B opened up doors for me that, were unimaginable. And from there, I got other opportunities through working my butt up and being presentable
and I always
taking advantage.
And you know what I always tell my friends to this day, and I still tell the story, like you guys gotta go to a show and see this match that this guy did with it. It was a produce match. Come on, it was the greatest. Like that was classic shit that we loved. I mean, you don't get that nowhere anyhow. You know what I mean?
I take credit for two things. The one thing is the produce match was definitely the first ever
I know.
Was not only pelted by produce, but that fans actually spent money on tickets to help me with the produce.
Yes,
that's the genius.
Yes, and I did. So thanks, David. Thanks, David.
Wrestler who ever had dreadlocks.
See, thanks, David, for getting under your skin and always, I had to always do that, torture you, I always loved
the fans hated me. No matter what time I was out there, y'all would always chant ShopRite, man.
Yes.
Because everybody knew that I worked at ShopRite.
My coworker said, "Hey, he works at ShopRite." I didn't really know that shit. I didn't know if it was a joke or not. I didn't know it,
I used to remember I would hear that, man, and you know what? It was like almost hard not to crack up out there because, you're enjoying it, because you got them. Mm-hmm. They know enough that they've invested into the fact that they're going to call me out for where I work, man. That means they give a shit.
That was a great,
it was a fun character, man. I was blessed too, dude, because, I got the tag with Tiger Khan.
I know.
God bless his soul, dude. Marlon was one of the greatest guys to ever be around, and, you had Prince Nana, part of the group as well, and Sanjay Dutt, man, was my tag team partner for a while. I came up with the United Nations thing, but Donnie loved it, man. And it worked. It really worked. The stupidity of it all just worked for the time, man.
It did.
And it was a hell of a lot of fun, dude.
I know, and if I wasn't there for the era, shit, I was like your number one fan, hating you, it's insane.
Oh yeah, because nobody liked me, that's for damn sure.
But then you loved us, you had to love after.
I did, dude. I really did, dude. I love taking pictures after the show, and I love
we never got a picture. We never got a picture, but we got a podcast together. There you go. After decades.
Hey man, that's worth even more to me.
But you know what? Also, after this podcast, I'm going to actually ship you out with a Deathmatch Wrestle podcast T-shirt and a package.
Oh man, I appreciate that.
Maybe you could throw me a Evolve Elevate shirt or something. We'll get something.
Almost definitely, dude. We just got a whole new product line to send stuff out. But
so what's the next show coming up? You were saying. Let's talk about that a little bit.
So we're doing a joint show with SWA. That's a promotion that runs in Mississippi. We're running at this school. They've got a really amazing building. It's in Bay St. Louis, and it's called the Bay Dome, man. It kind of looks like a mini Madison Square Garden, and we'll be donating a good portion of the proceeds to the local football team. But what's really cool about it is like I said, a lot of times promotions are always at each other's throat. Yeah. And here you've got two different promotions from two different states coming together to work together to do a show together using combined talents and doing something for the community. And that's what's really awesome. Dude. It's kind of revolutionary. It
is, because you know what? We always help. We always help, and we always will. As a fan of wrestling, or we always give back to the community. And which is really good. To help support a fund and a disability or a health condition, this and that, and a family that's in need of money, or you know what I mean. We'll go out on a limb for these people sometimes, which is.
It's always good to be involved in your community, man. Because it's not always about making a dollar.
No.
Of course, everybody. There's people that say, "Well, if you're not in the business to make money, you shouldn't be in the business." That's not 100% true. We all have whatever we've got into it for, or whatever we love it for.
Yeah.
But like I said, we always usually donate concessions or something to wherever we're running, because that's, for one, it's good business.
It really is.
You want to do good business, man, and you want to be a part of something that people want want to continue having you back and being able to keep, I want to run as many shows as I can, man, and we have the Civic Center down here, which was a huge Mid-South wrestling territory back in the day, JYD, the Freebirds, Flair, Dusty Rhodes wrestled down here, and we've gotten to run in that building, man, and we've got 2 shows this year coming up in it, and that's going to be really exciting, and we're doing a bunch of festivals and stuff, man, and it's kind of, again, this is all stuff I learned back in the day, bro, like, Donnie, we did the Tube Race, if you remember, where the news filmed at me and Slayer, man, and like, like all kinds of crazy shit. We wrestled outside, we were at the beach, we were in, the ice skating rink, it's a lot of fun to go different places and do a lot of these different things.
I still see Slayer at wrestling all these days. I'm gonna tell him you said hey oh.
Dude, I was back there in 2014 for a little bit. I don't know if you remember Funkified Wrestling.
Yes.
They ran out of bricks, so I wrestled as the Wicked Warrior.
Yes, I remember that. I probably saw you there.
Man, like, he was putting on a good product back then, dude. I remember Kevin Nash was on the show.
Yes.
Matt Hardy. Like,
yes.
Like, Brick, I didn't realize Brick was, such a...
It was invested in wrestling, we know.
Wrestling community.
I know, it was.
But it was cool to actually work out there and do a couple of those shows, too, man. It was a lot of fun.
Gotta come out this way again sometime, just for the hell of it. I'm sure you're like,
I said, man, like,
I know.
We had that show on the 21st, dude. When I saw Donnie putting this thing together with Standalone, dude, like, my heart skipped a couple beats.
It's a great,
I would love to be there. And I know Mark Henry, too, man, because I've wrestled him plenty of times at OVW. He's one of the nicest human beings you'll ever meet in your life.
I gotta go to that show. I need to go to that show and support them. I gotta go see Donnie and cut his ball.
And Vinny Senzo and Stepenico will be there. Stepenico and Skylar Moore have worked for us, and they're tremendous talents.
Yeah.
So that show's going to be one hell of a great show, man.
It is. I'm excited just to go to be a part of it.
And it brings back, with the people involved, it's definitely going to have that old school, like, feel to it.
It does. Like, I just got to do, I did the last show one time, and I finally got to meet Road Warrior. I mean, this was awesome. Animal, Like, that was cool. Like, people don't really get to meet, wrestlers these days. It's hard to get, say hello,
Well, a lot of the guys aren't in great health anymore.
No, they're not.
Veterans around. Like I said, back then they were in abundance, dude, So you were seeing guys on every show, man. Like, I remember Dapper's first show. That's the first place I worked for NWA.
Yeah.
And you had Sabu, Chris Candido, Sonny, Virgil, the Dudleys in the locker room, the Patriots, Al Sincere.
Yes.
Like all these guys that you've been watching on TV for like years, like all right there. And it was like pretty crazy, man, because, you're there as a worker, but you can't ever take the fat out of you. So at the same time, you're kind of like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like I'm in the locker room sitting next to this dude. Yeah. And like, Sabu's like, hey kids, you got any gimmicks? And I'm like, yeah, my gimmick's to profit. And he looks at me like I'm the stupidest fuck in the world. And I didn't realize what gimmicks meant back then.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's like Chris Candido walks by and drops a handful of stuff in his hand. Yes. And then all of a sudden I understood what gimmicks meant. But it was just like, it was a pretty awesome experience being like,
I still talk to Johnny. I still talk to Johnny. I still talk to his brother, Johnny. He's doing all right. Good old Johnny, his brother. Man, I miss them. I miss the Candido fan. I miss just seeing the magic. We've seen the magic, through wrestling.
There's a lot of good people around back then.
I know, man.
Like I said, the people that came through and that you got to work with on a weekly basis. The cool thing about Donnie, man, is he would take us out on, like, road trips.
Yeah.
So we'd be in a van with, like, like Harley and fucking... Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian.
Oh, God.
And Christian Cruz and them.
Frankie. And we'd
be going to, like, Pittsburgh and West Virginia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, dude, like, again, like, here's a young guy in a business in a van with these guys.
Yeah.
You get like learning, getting picked on, but still having the opportunity to experience it with them, man.
The road stories are the best. I know, the stories are the best, You'll never forget. Like, you always have them good.
And I got to work with a lot of those guys, too,
I know.
Which was really awesome because it taught you to get better on the spot. It was like free training to work with those guys because they've already been somewhere, you know?
Yeah, I know. I still bust Frankie's balls. I still check. I still see these guys once in a while on the scene. You know, it's always good to say, "Hey, how you guys doing?" You know, we talk about the past once in a while. It's great. You know, do you still
created a lot of good memories back then, man.
Can you imagine? Could you imagine if Donnie did a throwback show? Oh my God, if they were still around, could you imagine? Like a lot of the guys. Well, I
know many years ago, Steve tried to do one that I was on, but it was more guys that weren't really part of the roster. But it was a hell of a roster.
Yeah.
You had Christian and AJ and Petey Williams and all those guys. Biss. Remember, Biss was hitting on my sisters. But,
shit, really?
So cool. I worked Crowbar, man, and I had just come off the flu, dude.
Yeah.
And Chris is the nicest guy in the world, dude. But he's like Julio De Niro. He calls 10 million shots to you.
Yeah.
And so by the time you're out there to do it, I can't remember a fucking thing.
Yeah.
So it's oh, dude, no. And I couldn't breathe, so I felt so bad that night because I really wanted to go out there and give a fun performance. But just that energy, dude. There's really not too much in my life that's ever compared to the stuff we used to do.
I know.
With Donnie and
I
things.
know.
We'd go down to Atlantic City and film little vignettes and stupid shit, dude. And it was just always fun, man. It's that was the funnest times of wrestling in my life, you know? Because you felt like you were doing something that nobody else was doing. And it was really cool, you know?
And still some fans are around and some are dead, you know? It's amazing. You know what I mean? You think about it.
And it's, most of the guys that, other than the ones that have left us, are all doing something, like I said, positive in the business now.
Yeah.
Or still something to do in the business.
It's crazy.
SP referee, senior referee SP Anderson.
Yes.
He's one of my, great friends in the business.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to see him still out there, fulfilling his dreams and stuff like that. It's, you make some serious bonds with some people, dude. It's pretty awesome. Some of the things that come out of this business at times.
So what's this event coming up? We got March something, right? You're just saying.
March 21st, we're going to do the. It's called Bragging Rights, and it's going to be the SWA and Elev8ProWrestli coming together. Then we have another show coming up on April 25th, and then we'll have some more shows through the summer. But if people, Elev8Pro.com, you can stay up on all of our stuff. You can go to at Elev8Pro on YouTube and kind of check out all of our. We do a little weekly TV show so people can subscribe for free and watch our show. Follow us on Instagram. We're doing a lot of cool things, and you'll see a lot of new interesting talents, man. I try to bring in different guys from all over the country and stuff, and it's a pretty entertaining show with a lot of good story, and we've gotten a really good response from a lot of people that have been around it so far, man.
Man, you know what? Keep on supporting it, and like we always say, support indie wrestling because we know that's what it's at. Wrestling is wrestling. We take it back to the days that growing up watching wrestling, and look where it's evolved today. It's all over the.
And we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for guys like you, man. And it's always totally appreciated.
And you know what? You're coming.
Being a fan always mattered, whether you're the heel, whether you're the baby face.
Yes.
You guys sitting out there, you guys are the ones that make us. And if you forget that, or you think you're too good for that, then that's your own downfall.
You know what?
You guys are the ones that make every single one of us and has made every single guy that's been somebody in this business. And, I don't think that people really, truly thank the fans enough for what they've done for us, because you've given, you don't know what some opportunities mean to some people and where the dark places they've taken them out of, and what it means to be able to go out there and live your dream, man.
You got to live your dream or where we are, right? Wherever we are, But
it's totally cool, dude. Thank you very much for, having us out
hey,
here tonight.
You know what? Anytime you want to come back on, shoot the shit. I'd love to have you, and I'll do a video FaceTime one. I got friends in the business that can make me a cool FaceTime. I'm not high tech, but they can make the things happen. I got connections.
Totally, man.
But
yeah, dude. I definitely appreciate the opportunity, and we'll definitely get together again. And I'll send you some of my guys and get you in touch with, and
absolutely
continue making magic, man.
Absolutely, and I'll talk to you after, and I'll get your address, and I'll ship you out some merch. So. It's all good, my friend.
I appreciate it, brother.
All right. Have a good night, man. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Yep. Bye-bye. Have a good night. Wow, fans, you know what? Wrestling, man, you know what, fans? What an amazing talent guy right there is. You know what? Little small promotion out of Jersey. It was, like you said, back in the mid mid '90s. It was mid '90s. Let's just say. I am drawing a blank on it, but here's a guy who used to go out to the ring and just have fun wrestling, and babyface, heel, or straight face, and you know what? He's doing good things these days. He's working for a promotion to help build and bring wrestling back, the way that we grew up watching wrestling, and to elevate it, like he says, that's Elevate Pro, to boost the standards of what wrestling is today and what it was back in the day, and give these high flyers their moves, and the high flyers and your base wrestlers and your technical wrestlers and your hardcore wrestlers and a mix of everything. The style of wrestling that we love. Support indie wrestling. And it was great to hear Benjamin on the podcast, and he's welcome back anytime. Thank you so much for coming on. A longtime wrestling fan, as myself, for attending this promotion that we were talking about, Phoenix Championship Wrestling, which I will put a link up or I'll put up some info on it later about Phoenix Championship Wrestling. You all check out the history of wrestling. It's a really cool promotion that really launched a lot of careers for independent wrestlers who made it big these days, and much, much more, fans. But thank you for listening to the podcast, and check out their next show. And fans, tomorrow night, what's tomorrow night? Wednesday night, Twitter Live. Twitter Live is coming back with Deathmatch Russell. Catch me tomorrow night with the hot tub guy, hot tub guy, Deshaun 2 Cents. Man, we're going to be talking to him. He's been at a couple of Game Changer Wrestling. He's been behind the microphone talking on the mic, and he in his hot tub at home and other places. He's been to a lot of Game Changer shows and much, much more. He talks wrestling. We'll hear what he has to say about it, what he's got going on, and much, much more, fans. Thank you for listening. That's going to be at 5 p.m. tomorrow night on Twitter. You can find that on Twitter at DJ Dave David NJ32, and much, much more, fans. Thank you for listening. And fans, as I was saying before, I go on collarandelbow.com. Save 30% when you make a purchase. Use the promo code deathmatchwrestlepodcast.com to save on a t-shirt, a pair of shorts, a hat, you name it. They got it all. They got stickers, they got pants, sweatpants, hoodies, the works. Support Collar and Elbow, and give them a like and share, and tell all your friends that use the promo code deathmatchwrestlepodcast. Save 30% off when you make a purchase. Thank you, fans, for listening. Have a good night.
Hey, wrestling fans, I want to mention Collar and Elbow. Collar and Elbow was founded on traditional values of professional wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product intended to connect with people on an emotional level. A symbiotic relationship where one cannot flourish without the other. We strive to create a product that embodies our passion for professional wrestling expressed through street fashion. Visit collarandelbowbrand.com and use the promo code DeathmatchWrestlePodcast and save 10% off when you make a purchase. Collar and Elbow, where wrestling passion meets street fashion. You can find more Deathmatch Russell podcasts on the following social media: deathmatchrussell.com, follow on Twitter at DavidNJ32, and on Facebook, facebook.com/DJDaveNJ32. Find me on Podcast City Network at podcastcity.net, facebook.com/Podcast City Network. Hit the like button and share, and on Twitter at Podcast City Net. You can hear Deathmatch Russell podcast on Stitcher Radio and on iTunes.